I'm going to talk about band, every other subject. I'm sorry, but I just don't care about that. I just care about music and band. That's it. And I'm not trying to be politically correct. I could care less who gets their feelings hurt because this is a very straightforward conversation. We're not here to highlight the same problems that every single teacher in America has right now, which is not being paid enough, and then two, being underappreciated. We're past that at this point. So the fact of the matter is that education sucks. No school of education, no teacher training program, no school district, no administrators highlight the two most important things that is part of education: teacher wellness and teacher mental health. Nobody talks about that. Everything is about the kids, outcomes, best practices. But the fact of the matter is that one of the worst words in education is accountability. Where is the accountability for teacher wellness, teacher mental health, and the fact that professionals are being underrepresented? And if you're talking to me about unions and health packages and benefits, that's all bullshit.
Heisman.
I'm going to talk on a very broad overview because going into details with each and every one of these topics will be here forever. And by the way, I'm sorry, the beginning was kind of mean, so let me be inclusive in a profession that's very exclusive. Administrators and teachers will always see things differently. And I don't care where you go, I don't care what type of support system you have, it's a very rare gem that you find an administration that's willing to support a band program with the requirements that it basically warrants. Being an administrator is very simple. They are responsible for two things: budget and operation management. Is it more detailed than what I am saying? Yes, but so is teaching. Being in a band program, it requires one, funding, two, support, three, proper resources. When you are in an inner city band program, you are going to lack all three of those things. The support's not there, the resources are not there, and then you have an administration team that basically tells you, what is it that you need? How can we help you? What can I do to basically allow you to fulfill your job capacity? And the fact of the matter is that you can say everything that you need like a big Christmas list, and does it get done? The answer is no. That support is never going to come because it just doesn't exist. And that is a big reality that a lot of administrators are not willing to just flat out say. They are there to support you. They are there to aid you in any capacity that's warranted. But the fact of the matter is that most inner city band programs don't get the proper funding, which is a multi-million-dollar funding, and they don't get the proper resources, which comes in the necessity of books, in the necessity of musical equipment, and also in the necessity of operating fees. If you're taking your students to festival, that costs money. If you're taking your students to these football games or different competitions, that costs money. Where is the money for these activities? It doesn't exist. But yet, school board members, people that are within the internal services of these school districts, they're all riding great cars. Some people are making six figures. Doing what? So, teachers and administrators will always see things differently. And those two different points of views lead to unrealistic expectations and standards. You're expected to do your job without the proper tools. How does that work? And then my favorite part is this one. When I was teaching here in Miami-Dade County for 3.5 years, I was going into these teacher meetings because they're mandated. We're talking about data chats, about how students made or lost a point or 3 points, or where are their areas of deficiency. Yo, I'm teaching band. What does reading, math, and science have to do with me? What does the standardized state test have to do with me? I am not a teacher that's teaching any of those subjects. So why am I there? Yes, it's required, but for what? What's the requirement? That I'm learning that the students are not doing well in reading? What am I supposed to do about that? I'm not a reading coach. I'm not a reading strategist. Students are having issues with word problems in math. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not there and being paid for to solve problems for students. I'm there to teach music and diagnose music problems. So this whole idea of doing these things that just make no sense killed me. And if you don't go to these meetings, that's called insubordination, and you can get fired for that. But is anybody coming to a band practice? That's important. Is anybody staying after school to make sure that students know how to read music? That's important. We have standards. So that killed me. Unrealistic standards and expectations. That's littered throughout education. You have these expectations to get students from point A to point B when you don't have the money, when you don't have the proper resources. How? And then they set these standards, these politicians set standards when they've never been in a classroom. And that's the age-old question. Who is making these rules and why? You've never been in the classroom, specifically in an inner city classroom. So why are you setting standards for students and teachers to achieve if you've never been there? Stupid. Teaching is an extremely stressful job, especially if you are at a tough school. There were days where I just took a seat in the band room, I took my tie off and really thought to myself, what am I doing here? I'm not supposed to be feeling like this. You sit in your car in the morning contemplating career choices if you really want to go into this building. And part of the person that cares, says yes, because you do have kids in that building that care about what you have to say, what you have to teach. And they are the ones that make it possible for you to get through this mind of nothingness, of hopelessness. And that overwhelming stress leaks into your personal life. Sunday nights for a teacher are rough because if you're grading papers, if you're trying to compile a test, whatever it is, you're dreading Monday morning. There is nothing happy about going to work on a Monday at a tough school. And this stress is heavy. It's something that you just cannot shake off. And you walk around with this weight and it's just crazy, man. Fast forwarding to what reality is. There is just a big lack of respect for the fine arts, specifically band. And if you're doing orchestra, that too. But anything that deals with electives, in my mind, I feel like counselors basically think dump ground. And the funny thing is, when they're compiling these schedules, they have total disregard for your ensembles. If you have an ensemble, an advanced ensemble that meets once a week, no counselor, in my experience, will do any and everything and move mountains to basically appropriate your students in that block. But if they have AP whatever, or IB this, or advanced this, or intermediate this, or honors this, priority. But if it's advanced ensemble, advanced wind ensemble, whatever it is, no. And stress and disrespect is just terrible because the thing is, look, if you are being paid a salary to fulfill a specific role and capacity, your environment should be conducive to that. If you are a band director and you have an advanced class, 2 intermediate classes, and 3 beginning, all of those classes should be properly appropriated with the correct amount of students, and every single student that is on that level should be in the classes. But the fact of the matter is that they're not. And when you go into these offices and you talk to an administrator, they send you right to the counselor, and the counselor says, well, this student has advanced math or AP this or IB this. Who cares? You're getting in the way of my profession. You're getting in the way of my professional duties. I'm not able to execute my professional duties. And that's the complication within education. And everything that I've just said, all of these areas led to me just leaving education. And when I tell you that it has been the best decision of my life, I will never go back into the classroom. Don't get me wrong. It was great being in front of those kids. It was great being a great role model for those kids. It was also great that I just had an attitude that I just didn't care. I always went against the grain. When something didn't go with what I agreed to, I always got in trouble. And I'm glad I got in trouble because I stood up for something that meant something to me. Teaching kids music was great. Dealing with adults that didn't get it was terrible. And it was the worst part of education. And it continues to be the worst part of education. Because the thing is, at the end of the school year, when you go into your little summer vacation, you're away from all those problems. But in August or September, when you have to come back for pre-meetings or whatever, the funniest thing is that there's this carrot of hope that's dangled in front of your face with new culture, new initiatives, new ideas for the school, how we're going to work and better manage relationships with teacher and administration. And the fact of the matter is, after the first month, everything goes out the window. Back to the same repetitive, broken system. And people will tell you, oh, just, do it for the kids. What are you doing for the kids? Stressing yourself out? Not spending adequate time with your family? Taking your work that you're not being paid for home? What are you doing for the kids? You're getting consumed by that idea. You're being abused by the fact that there's this highest expectation and you get nothing out of it. Let me make this very clear. Having healthcare is great. Having a retirement plan is great. Having all of these benefits, it is great. But that is so limited. Healthcare sucks, dental plans suck, vision plans suck, unions suck. There's no benefit that you're getting from any of these things but stress. And if you're limiting your capacity to that, it's just bad. And I want to make this very clear. Education, being able to teach kids, it is such a very unique and an honorable position to be in. You're in front of young minds that you can basically exploit and lead them to great things. And by exploit, I mean this: challenging students to do more and be about more, questioning and basically illustrating to them that they're settling for less. And it's a very hard thing to come out of when you care about kids, when you care about these kids' future, when you know where they come from, when you know what they're going to be facing in reality, in society. When you care, it's very hard to ignore the fact that all of this is broken. It's very hard to ignore that there are people that just don't care. It's very hard to ignore that there are people in power that should not be in power. And when you try to go against this system of nothingness, you are wrong. You are going to lose. And I had to leave. And it sucks.